Good early afternoon. Hey, you guys, people in the studio audience, you at home. It's Thursday. Is it Thursday? It's Tuesday, isn't it? Is it Tuesday? I think it's Tuesday. Rowdy Gaines, what are you doing here? I am so glad to see your name. You guys know who Rowdy Gaines is. Rowdy is the Olympic gold medal swimmer. He's the voice of the swimming Olympics, and he's an old friend of mine. So glad you're here, buddy. Gary Peavy joined, Eva Jean Hodge. Good afternoon from North Carolina. Mississippi, good afternoon. Who else we got? Got a lot of people from all over the country, several out of the country, and we're here in the financial district of Orange Beach, Alabama, among the skyscrapers. We're on the second floor of the wharf. Marcy Taylor, has spring gotten you there in Richland, Washington in the 50s today? God. Christy Woods, my sister. How you doing, Christy? We got a good show for you today. Martin Simmons, Floyd the Barber. Floyd says, hey, from Milton, Florida. And we're going to talk about hoaxes. I've done my research. I've got my 5 favorite hoax stories, and then my number 1 choice for the greatest hoaxer of all time. Now, this is just a great way to learn history, you know. If I'd have had a history teacher that came in and said, all right, close your books, I'm going to tell you a story. I mean, I'd have remembered everything. You know, I can remember a story. If you teach me the facts, I'll remember the facts right up until it's time to take the test. But tell me a story, I'll remember it forever. All right, here is, counting them down, this is number 5. And this is my fifth favorite hoax, at least for today, okay? In the 1920s, the Mississippi Department of Archives and History bought a collection of artifacts that included an Egyptian mummy. Now, believe it or not, Mississippi bought a mummy, and I can't figure out who was responsible for this. It just says Mississippi. Now, we all know the state didn't buy a mummy. The state may have paid for it, but somebody did it. But almost 50 years later, in 1969, a medical student asked the museum for some human remains that they might have to study. And the museum allowed him to examine the mummy. That was when he found it was made out of paper mache with a few animal rib bones thrown in to make it appear authentic. But it still actually remains a popular draw in Mississippi. They call it the dummy mummy, and they actually occasionally exhibit it at the state capitol. If I was in Mississippi, I wouldn't be bragging about that. Here, look, we got taken. Here's a paper mache thing with some dog bones in it. Let's put it in the state capitol. We paid for it. Okay. Number 4. In 1726. Now this one, I don't know if I just put this one to heaven. I don't know what I put this to. This is maybe an old-time thing. People were naive back then, but this got a couple of doctors, and so this just seems ridiculous to me. But in 1726, a young woman caused a medical sensation, baffling physicians with her unusual condition. Mary Toft convinced a number of doctors that after playing with a large rabbit while pregnant, she had given birth to a litter of bunnies. Now, John Howard, a local surgeon, apparently attended some of the bunny births, and he believed her story. Okay, so it's like those. It's like those. I think it's got to be like those operations where they go to some place in the jungle and those guys are taking little pieces of guts out of them, and they found it was really a fake thumb that they're like pressing and pulling the guts out of that fake thumb. So I guess that's what it's got to be. But how do you give birth to live rabbits? How do you fool with that? But the doctor that believed her, because he had been at the birth, informed a number of eminent physicians, including the surgeon to King George's royal household, who went on to examine the animal parts that she claimed to have given birth to. And he concluded that it was genuine. Finally, this woman confessed the whole thing was a hoax. She had faked the births by stuffing the animal parts into herself. Although what motivated her to do this is unclear, but she was put in prison for it. You've had a litter of 7 rabbits. I sentence you to 5 years. I mean, what, that. But when she got out of prison, you know what she was known as. Forever known as the Rabbit Woman. She was the Rabbit Woman. And the doctors' careers apparently never fully recovered. Okay. Here's number 3. I love this one. It was 1835, and the newspapers of the day routinely just manufactured stories to generate sales. Kind of sounds like the media of today. Just kind of generating stories just to get some viewers or get some readers. But anyway, none of them at the time was crazier than the New York Sun's series of 6 articles that were published in 1835. 6 articles, a series now, about the discovery of civilization on the moon. This is 1835. The articles claimed that a British astronomer named John Herschel had used a powerful new telescope to spot plants, unicorns, beavers, and winged humans. The articles claimed that our winged moon brothers collected fruit, they built temples from sapphires, and they lived in total harmony with unicorns and beavers. It seems the American public preferred a universe dotted with angels and unicorns and jeweled architecture because the story created such a buzz that papers around the world rushed to reprint the series. And before long, the Sun was selling pamphlets of the whole series with lithographic prints that depicted life on the moon. It took 5 years for the story's writer, Richard Adams Locke, to finally confess to making it all up. Which makes me think, I still can't believe that all the teams that New York has had in the past that they hadn't ever named a mascot the Moon Beavers. The New York Moon Beavers. I think that'd be a great name for a team. All right, number two, greatest hoax of all time. MIT students are obviously very smart. And I think they spend a lot of their time trying to figure out how to harass Harvard and Yale. And they get a lot of pleasure at tormenting them, I think, because I think they're a lot smarter than I think it's like high school students, kindergarten students with MIT. But my favorite thing that they have done occurred during the 1982 Harvard-Yale football game. All right, now think about this. MIT's doing something to them, and MIT's not even playing the game. I mean, it's Harvard and Yale, the two biggest. And in the middle of the game, a huge weather balloon with the letters MIT started inflating out of the ground near the 50-yard line while the game is going on. And after reaching its full 10-foot height, it exploded. Here's what happened. On the Monday before the game, in the middle of the night, a group of MIT students had snuck into Harvard Stadium, dug a hole, and wired a vacuum motor that would blow air into the balloon until it exploded. They refilled the hole, carefully replaced the turf, and waited until Saturday with their little automatic clicker. And I guess they proved once again why you don't mess with engineers. Whew. I mean, I remember seeing that on TV. That thing rising up out of the ground and then blowing up and scaring everybody to death. Okay, but that's not my favorite. This is my favorite one. You ready for this? Okay. All right. In 1976, a man named Joey Skaggs announced the opening of a brothel for dogs. He ran an ad in the Village Voice newspaper offering dog owners a chance to buy their pets a night with alluring companions, including Fifi, the French poodle. To this guy's surprise, he began getting calls from people wanting to drop $50 on this. So it didn't take much for the media to begin reporting on it. And when reporters showed up with questions, this guy just reeled them in. He staged a night for the press at his cat house for dogs. And it worked. TV stations issued breathless reports of the wanton acts of canine sex. I mean, the Humane Society launched an investigation. A veterinarian publicly condemned the brothel, and the New York Health Department raised concerns about Skaggs' licensing. A year later, Joey Skaggs admitted the whole thing was a hoax. Just a prank, he said. And then nobody believed him. A television producer for WABC in New York argued that the brothel was real and that Skaggs' hoax claims were just a clumsy attempt to cover his trail. Now, of course, WABC had good reason to insist that this was a genuine poodle prostitution ring. They had good reason for it because the station had won an Emmy for its coverage of the story. It had to be true. Oh my God, it has to be true. What are we going to do? Give the Emmy back? Oh my God. Good afternoon, Kim Freeman. Okay, now here we go with my final stab at the hoaxing today. I love this stuff. I mean, this is why we have the game show Be True or BS. I just love this stuff. And there is an all-time greatest hoaxer. I mean, it's not just me saying this. A lot of people would say this. And you can look him up. His name is Alan, A-L-A-N, Abel, A-B-E-L. And this guy, he just did one after another all his life, okay? And they were big-time deals. His first major project was for the Society for Indecency to Naked Animals, or SINA, SINA. Society for the, what do you call it? Society for the Indecency to Naked Animals. So Alan Abel appeared on camera as this man that's deeply offended by the nudity in nature. And he insisted that animals should possess the same modesty as humans. And he was actually astonished at how easy it was to dupe people. And so he kept going. He began to promote the Society for Indecency of Naked Animals and offered clothing suggestions, including Bermuda shorts for horses and sundresses for deer. And he's doing this on camera with a totally straight face. He said, zoos are nothing more than an outdoor strip club that families should not be at. Animal genitals, according to Abel, animal genitals contribute to moral decay. So the general public took this very seriously. And he even got a $40,000 donation to further his cause. Now, he's carrying this on with his wife, Jeanne. With his wife, he staged picketing efforts, including one in front of the White House where he admonished President John F. Kennedy and his wife Jackie about the horses that they kept that were nude. Okay, so after that, he launched into a presidential campaign for a fictional Bronx grandmother. He just made her up, okay? And he's running her for president of the United States, and she's running on a platform of nice cliches. He named his candidate Yetta Braunstein, and the campaign slogan was "Vote for Yetta and things will get better." Jeanne, who's Abel's wife, portrayed Yetta in phone interviews. But when somebody needed a photo, Abel just supplied a snapshot of his mother. So Yetta's promises appealed to people suspicious of the government. And so she declared that she would pipe truth serum into drinking fountains in the Senate, and that she would place members of Congress on a commission-based compensation plan. And she also promised national bingo tournaments. So politics are obviously an easy target for this guy. In 1974, right after the Watergate thing, he created a fictitious name again and then announced that he had located the missing 18 and a half minutes from the infamous Richard Nixon recordings. He had found them. And so after gathering members of the media, Abel, who was disguised with a mask because he didn't want his, said he didn't want to get in trouble for this, didn't want anybody after him, and so he's disguised with a mask. He turned on the tape recorder and appeared shocked to discover the tapes had been erased. Right in front of the press. I mean, this guy has a lot of guts. I just admire his guts. Okay. Billionaire Howard Hughes had slipped into a life of seclusion and hiding and germophobia as he grew older, and nobody had seen him in years. And so in 1972, Alan Abel wrapped himself and his face in bandages and announced a press conference at the St. Regis Hotel in New York. And it was Howard Hughes going to talk to the press. And so the Hughes press conference drew 36 newspaper, radio, and television people. I mean, he said they wanted Hughes to come back, so I decided to appear for him. So at the press conference, he told the media that he, Howard Hughes, was about to have himself cryogenically frozen in order to wait out a weak stock market. And 2 days later, he revealed the stunt. I mean, he's just like getting people just like boom, 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 one after another with big things. So through the years, he posed as a college student that was seeking to sell his kidneys, both of them, for a profit. One time he announced the formation of the KKK Symphony Orchestra and invited the Klan's Grand Dragon, David Duke, who was then running for Louisiana governor, and he invited David Duke to come and act as the conductor. All right. You remember Jack Kevorkian? Remember who this is? The assisted suicide guy? Okay, so in 1993, all this controversy surrounding Jack Kevorkian prompted Alan Abel to advertise a euthanasia cruise for people seeking to terminate their lives on the open ocean, and promised that dogs were welcome at no extra charge. Okay. Death, exciting and new. Yeah. Okay, so his last high-profile hoax came in 2009 when he successfully convinced some reporters that bird watchers were experiencing sexual gratification from their hobby. The movement, which he titled Stop Bird Porn, drew millions of website hits. And finally, in 2018, at the age of 91, Alan Abel passed away peacefully with a smile on his face. However, before the New York Times published the obituary for Alan Abel, they made absolutely certain he was dead. Because they said it'd be just like this guy. Oh my gosh. So, there you go. That's the hoaxes of the day. Whew. I was at the Lady Mako's game last night. We mercy ruled St. Michael's in 3 innings, 15-0. And we had 4 different girls hit home runs. So, I mean, it was pretty amazing game, pretty short game. Lasted less than an hour. So, Kelly, just started listening to Noticer again this morning. Thank you. I appreciate that. I had somebody text me last night and said, okay, for a book club, what do you suggest for people who don't know who you are? And I said, well, the Noticer or the Heartmender, I guess. You know. So, but it's funny to me that there are 3 Noticer books, and I that was a New York Times bestseller. The How You Kill 11 Million People, that was a New York Times bestseller. But sometimes I still have people come up to me and say, I read the Traveler's Gift, that's my favorite book, and when are you going to write something else? Like, well, I've written 25 other books, but, when are you going to write something else? I don't know. So, it's pretty, it's sunny. Austin's in town, Adam's in town. Polly's feeling good. My neck's hurting. Other than that, I was actually supposed to go to the hospital today and get a shot, and the insurance didn't come through. What's that about? My Dave Timmons. Gotta up your reading list. No, I do not want the bear to send me any Shakespeare. I've had enough Shakespeare in my life. In between you, Dave Timmons, your wife, the bear, and Gloria Gaither, that's all I need to hear about Shakespeare. Shanda Daniels says, I think you need a question and answer show for us inquiring minds. Well, all you got to do is ask me a question. It'd be a question and answer show. I feel goofy right here. My sister's watching. Rowdy Gaines is watching. A lot of friends are watching, and we did the hoax show, and it's going to be, John Mason Smith says, hey, Andy, I'm late. We're through. We're just goofing around, John. Hey, did you know I was at the Floribama 2 weeks ago? I don't know if you knew. Patricia Garrison said, I read The Heartmender when it was titled Island of Saints. I always wondered why you changed it. See, there you're assuming that I changed it. I always wondered why you changed it. I changed it. I like Island of Saints better too. So, but when it was Island of Saints, it didn't sell. And the publisher said, this is a really good book. We could re-release it again, but we got to rename it. And then you got to write something else for it. So I wrote the Where Are They Now in the back. And they changed the name to The Heartmender and re-released it again, where at that time, the second release, it really didn't sell. Just like really didn't. It just didn't sell the first time. But the second time, it really didn't sell. And it's still my favorite book that I've ever written. Caleb Driscoll says, would you write a book with all these random facts? Nope. There are way too many fact books. So now I tell you what we may do. We may write a Be True BS book. That would be a good thing to play at home. If you don't know what we're talking about, you need a subscription to wisdomharbor.com. It's cheap. There's 4 talk shows on there now. Dave Timmons, talk about the movie. Well, yeah, there's supposed to be a movie with the Heartmender. But I hadn't got anything to do with it, and so I'm just waiting and occasionally have a meeting with the producers who are evidently still trying to get the money. But you can look on TV today and find there are a lot more important things to put on television than the Heartmender. Dave Timmons, I passed the Bears High School the other day, driving back from Andrews Institute, and I thought about the Bear. Margie Timmons won so many state competitions as the theater director for Gulf Breeze High School. There's an article about her, called her the Bear Bryant of drama, because she's this high school coach that's coaching, and she's got not just won state championships, but she's got a lot of her students have gone to New York and are on Broadway. So, John Mason Smith, you are right. I do have Duluth coming this week. Going to be with Dan and that bunch up there. So, Caleb Driscoll, you found a fact book a while back. Wasn't nearly as interesting as what I come up with. Well, you're nice to say that, but it's just because I'm prone to smart aleck comments, I think, after I tell one of these things. And you can't find a fact book that's the sarcasm edition, but If you find that, tell me, because I'll buy that one too. But yeah, we love the interesting stuff. And so, go get a wisdomharbor.com subscription to that streaming service. It's just $27 for the entire year. And it has tons of stuff that you would love, like this, a lot of the fact stuff. And I think that'll do it for today. I think we're going to be back Thursday. Thursday, right, Matt?
Yeah, with Monica.
Yeah, Monica's going to be here. We have a protocol conversation Thursday. And anyway, have a great rest of your day. Today's Tuesday. And then have a great Wednesday, and we'll see you Thursday. Bye-bye.